My name is Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. Today, I want to talk about Donald Trump's popularity with women, more specifically, white women. Now, I don't like to use the word triggered a lot, but everybody seems to understand it, so I think I'll use it. So one of the things that might trigger a person like me, who likes to think that he's a decent person who treats women well, is the 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump in 2016. And they knew a lot of bad things about him, but still more than half of women voted for him. And as we look into this more, now you have more time to see who he is. Donald Trump has had 26 women publicly accuse him of sexual abuse. He has since become an adjudicated rapist. He has 34 felonies to add to his resume. He's admitted to grabbing and kissing women without their consent, in his own words. And now he's implicated highly with this Jeffrey Epstein pedophilia ring. And yet, when it came to the last election, Donald Trump with white women got even more popular. Now, as a man, this is very, very disturbing, right? Because we want women to feel protected. We want them to be cared about. We want them to be safe. And yet, for some odd reason, white women just don't seem to care about this issue at all. He doesn't lose any popularity. And when we look at right-wing newscasters, influencers, right-wing people that I know, a lot of women, they're doing something even worse now. They're literally justifying Donald Trump. They're justifying these rich men in the evil stuff that they do. And as, like I said, trying to be a decent human being, it's very, very disturbing to listen to women do this. And to think that a lot of these women have children. It's very hard to understand. So let me play one of these broadcasters, Megyn Kelly. She used to be on Fox News. She's not on Fox News anymore. I think she does her own thing now. But either way, she's very influential. Millions and millions of people listen to her. I'm sure she's a multimillionaire. And here, she's going to be bending over backwards, trying to make it that it's okay, this pedophilia ring that's going on. So I'm going to try to play it all the way through, and I'm going to try to play it without throwing up. So let's do this.
I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward. As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into, like, 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn, now they call it child sexual abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was a I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay, not to be too judgmental, but a woman who looks like that is probably going to be one of those white women that completely justifies rich people doing disgusting things, right? I don't even know where to start. Okay, she's acting like it's not a big deal because he didn't go after 5-year-olds. He must have went after 15-year-olds, and there's a difference. Let me say this before it gets too crazy. First of all, Jeffrey Epstein is dead now. He was in jail. He was in jail for sex trafficking. So I don't care what she says. She's acting like it's not a big deal. He went to jail for it. And Jeffrey Epstein's wife also went to jail. Like, so what is she talking about? It's not that bad. They weren't 5 years old. They might have been only 15. So here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're 5 or 15, right? It's still underage. I don't know why I have to tell Trump supporters this. 15 is not 18. You are not of age of consent. That is still rape. And here's the thing. I don't care if you're 5 years old. I don't care if you're 15. I don't care if you're 55. I don't care if you're 155. Sexual trafficking is illegal of any age. Like, what is going on with these people? Somebody like Megyn Kelly, who's a multimillionaire, who's been on the air for years, can literally get on the air and say confidently this stuff that is so vile and so disgusting. And it's not like she's being, of course she's being backed up by a million of other Trump supporters. And yes, she's talking about Epstein here. But Donald Trump is implicated all over the place here. He's all over these emails. And then he says he doesn't know anything. According to everybody, including Jeffrey Epstein, they were best friends for 15 years. You can't tell me you don't know about it. Right? And they also had Thanksgiving dinner together in 2017 after all this came to light. He already knew about this. There's parts in the emails where Donald Trump was saying something like he gets some of his girls depreciated, which means that if they get to a certain age, like 2 years older, they lose value. And so then he gets those ones too. Like, this is so sickening, especially that, again, a woman is justifying this. I don't even begin to understand how this happens. And yet, obviously, I'm on the minority because more than 50% of white women they voted for Donald Trump and they're not going to lose any support no matter what he does. And yes, I hold men accountable, right? Like, men who do bad things, especially when we're talking about sexual abuse and things like this, and just treating women horribly in general, yes, men need to be completely held accountable for their actions. But they're also encouraged a lot of times by women like this. Because women don't seem, or certain women, or a good percentage, more than 50% of white women, again, have no problem with those angry, disagreeable, lying, cheating, abusive men. And you could see it here. Like, when are the women going to stand up and say that this is wrong? I know a lot of rich men through personal training throughout the years. And yes, a lot of them are bad people. And of course, they're bad because they just are. But they're also encouraged to be that way because they don't get punishment, right? They're not getting held accountable in terms of the law. And women don't hold them accountable because they like men like that. Not all of them, of course, but there's plenty of them out there that they just see them as powerful. Adolf Hitler didn't have a problem getting women. He was very popular with women. And I guess they want to run for cover with him. They thought he was powerful and so he could hurt them. And so it's better to join them or join him instead, right? They're looking for some type of safety and security, so they go to the worst, ugly, most violent, vicious guy. But this has got to stop. We have got to talk about this in a more rational way. All of these people need to be held accountable for their actions. And I can't tell women what to do, of course. But why you're okay with a rapist, I'll never know. I've had clients, and I don't mean therapy clients. I'm talking about training clients, where we will get into this conversation. And I haven't heard one Republican woman yet say anything negative about these 26 women that have accused Trump of sexual abuse. Because they all say the same thing. Oh, well, you know what it's like to be a rich man. You know, of course, when you're a rich man, women are going to go after you like that. What? When you're popular, women are going to come after you and they're going to say things like that because women are liars when it comes to rape. I can't believe women have told me that. I can't believe by percentage there's so many women saying that in the first place. It's crazy. They make excuses for these rich guys. So let me tell you about my first internship. So my first internship, I started at a sex offender treatment program. And I remember being scared to death going there because I definitely wanted that internship. And the reason is because I wanted to try out my empathy skills because I know that that's probably the number one skill that a therapist needs. And so I thought, let me go to a place where it's going to be really hard to show empathy. And so I did that. The other reason why I wanted that internship is because I didn't want any problems. Like, I wanted to be able to get the internship, right? And it was an easy internship to get because nobody else really wanted to work with that population. And a couple of the things that you realize when you start working there is that they're all felons, and it's almost impossible for them to get a job because nobody wants a sex offender on the job. It's almost impossible for them to rent an apartment because they need to, first of all, people don't want to give them an apartment, but it's also because it's hard for them to find an apartment because they have to live a certain distance away from like nurseries and schools and things like this. And they have to register as a sex offender. So it's not like other things that people do where you could kind of make up for it down the road. You know, you do your time and then you can be a decent person in the world and be valuable. They hold sex offenders down. And the other thing, though, that you start to learn is that behind every male sex offender, not every, but a lot of them, I would say more than 50% again, there's always a woman behind them justifying their actions and being perfectly fine with what happened. Now, about 85% of the sexual victims are in the home. So we're talking here about fathers and stepfathers and uncles, things like this, raping and sexually abusing women in the family, typically kids. And behind that is a mother that is not willing to call the cops, not willing to leave. And it's usually because of something financial, right? Like the guy is paying a little bit, he pays for a couple sandwiches every week, and she's fine. And she basically throws the kids under the bus. I know this sounds terrible, but it's true. And then we get to these richer people, and they do the same thing. Like, it's unbelievable to me how we throw people off, and we don't care if or how much people are hurt. As long as somebody has some type of power or they have enough money in the world, we're willing to just let it all go. So going back to the beginning of the show here, I want to ask, do Trump supporters have a breaking point? And especially if you're a woman. I mean, are you ready to look your daughter in the face and say, I'm going to support him anyway because, I don't know, what are you going to say? He's going to make prices lower? He's not. Those are going up. Are you going to say that he's going to make your car insurance lower or your health insurance lower? Even if he was, but he's not, those are going up. Are you going to look at it and say, well, unemployment is going down? I mean, not that it would matter, right? You can't be a sex offender and think that that's okay because if unemployment goes down. Oh, but unemployment is going up. So there's nothing that you can look at that he's actually doing anything for you that's positive, except maybe if your husband makes over $400,000 a year, then you're going to get a tax break. I'm wondering when you're going to have the guts to stand up for yourself, for all women, for all people that have had some type of sexual abuse. And by the way, it's 1 out of every 6 boys, too. Although it is higher for girls, it's about 1 out of every 4. But still, when are you going to stand up for the oppressed, the marginalized, the people who are brutalized and victimized? When are you going to stand up for them and stop being okay with a man just because he pays for your sandwich or pays to get your nails or your hair done? I want to know. So my name is Joe Peroni. This is the Rise Above Project. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Thank you.